spiritual crisis. But yet today we cannot neglect what is happening in the world around us as Muslims. And part of the awareness is not to neglect what's going on, but to know things in a proper Islamic perspective. I've collected some articles that will help you and me to understand the perspective and the vision of where things are in these 30 to 40 minutes that we will discuss. I think you're aware of what's going on today, huh? With the flotillas that are, and one of them is my cousin also. He's among the men who are representing Kuwait on these flotillas. Already the Jewish army had taken them from their ship, and they've been, they will be deported into one European country. And also among them is, now from Kuwait there are maybe three. And there is a lady from Bahrain, she is 73 years old. Wallah, يعني, what can we say? Wallah, they make us small. And of course, prior to their movement, they've been trained for almost 2 weeks on procedures they do once the Israeli army takes over, because they have previous experience in the previous attempt. And part of it, did you see any of the videos as the Israelis, they attacked them on board of the ships? You know, everybody is raising their hands, and it's all rehearsed. And also part of their routine is to get rid of their mobile phones immediately once they throw them into the ocean. They themselves. So yeah. Because if the Jewish army takes it, they know the contacts and not only you, whom you are connected to, and they take advantage. So everything is rehearsed. The minute they know they're getting, all the mobiles were thrown into the deep waters, so they will not have access to it. And most of them, or all of them, has pre-recorded a message, including my cousin, holding his passport. I am so and so. I call upon the Kuwaiti authorities to have me released from the Jewish or the Israeli jail. My name is so-so, and the others. It's already recorded. So once they are in their hands, these recordings, so there's well-organized media campaign from various Muslims and non-Muslims among them. And you have seen these flotillas from various countries, non-Muslims more than Muslims. Some of them are celebrities, some of them are all from various walks of, activists and celebrities and influencers, or these social media influencers and so forth. And this is the first. There will be more ships coming over. This is the first group going. Once they are now, I heard also the Jews are sinking their ships also. So what they have done, once they knew the procedure will happen, they had containers. They put food in them, and they throw them in the water. So at least the ship does not drown with what, at least have something saved, and they throw it into the water. Perhaps the currents of the sea will take it towards the shores of Gaza. And this is the first group that comes in, and there will be other groups and more flotillas coming in just to break the siege over Gaza. So that is why today's subject is related to some parameters regarding what's going on. As one of them said, if you look at when a Muslim looks how the world in the West is reacting towards Gaza and what kind of activities they are doing to revive it in their own communities. And you've seen these flotillas are there to break the siege. Films are being produced, Jazakallah khair. Films are being produced to expose the crimes of the Jewish regime, media campaigns to move the public opinion towards Gaza and what's happening there, crowds and that are off in the streets, and you've seen them. Some of them are being attacked viciously by their own. يعني شوف يعني some people give the definition of Gaza al-Fadiha. It is the event that has exposed the reality of the world in the Muslim eye, who was some of the Muslims. They think that the Western world or this Western civilization is as civil as it shows, but it shows the dark side of it, and it exposed a lot of thoughts that they have superimposed on us from the time of their imperialistic activities in our area, that they are the lords of freedom and everything, and your Islam puts you backward, you just stay in the Masjid, look at non-religious world and so forth, the freedom of speech. And Gaza has exposed to the world what's going on. Anyway, and influencer about the genocide that is happening in Gaza, what's happened to them. Yet on the other side, you look at Muslims as countries and as population and influentials and so forth. There is very little action taking place, if nothing at all. And it shows you the huge difference in the response. Yani they are Muslims like us. These are non-Muslims. They don't care about Islam is. But from a human point of view, he's willing to risk his life going into the streets, and they get to be beaten up. Some of them are, you've seen them maybe in their 60, 70, 80 years old, and they have nothing to do. And yani, that passion, it shows you the betrayal that we have done as Muslims toward our Muslim brothers who are in Gaza. It shows you the level of weakness of the Muslim world, let alone our number, but in reality it's a test of our Islamic faith, of our faith in some Iman. A very small event or event that it requires some sort of reaction towards their brothers in Gaza. And part of the reasons why this betrayal we have done towards them, we've turned our backs on them in people in Gaza, is because throughout these years there was a lot of concentration on the nationalistic, يعني Kuwaitis together, Saudis, Pakistan, the Muslim sense. We are no border is not there. We picked it up from them, from the West, in separating us with. So they made sure that we are countries, but each one is. I care about my own business. I have nothing to do with you in each one. And also they concentrate on that, the local national theme more than Islamic that has no borders on it. And also from the Islamic perspectives, dunya is everything to us, and we forgot about the hereafter and what relies after our death. So we grabbed onto the materialistic world that we are in. And also to utilize Islam for the sake, also what some regimes want to what can I say? You don't find many Muslim scholars going in public and saying this is wrong, we should do, all of them either, some of them in jail, or some of them are kept silent, or some of them they took the other direction. They started also saying, this is an issue regarding to them. We have nothing to do with it, separating people from some scholars. And others, they say, this is a local issue. We have some Muslim scholars. So they've used also the religious language to let the crowds of Muslims who have the emotions to be diverted towards that, to serve political gains or interests in certain countries and so forth. So therefore, there is no way out but towards that you and me have to measure the individual's relationship with Allah Almighty. It is straight, it is pious, and to follow the commands of Allah, and to glorify Allah Almighty and the rule of Allah among us, and also to spread the awareness among the Muslim communities we are in, and to enhance the relationship between Muslims in various Muslim countries, that we are all in one. There is no difference between Kuwaiti, India, American, British, Pakistani, South African. Muslims are all one. Borders do not make any sense. So the article says we are living in a stage that has never happened in the history. We've never experienced in our history of the Muslim nation. That requires patience and holding fast, and to be serious about our deen, and to sacrifice for that thing. Therefore, save yourself. Don't be a spectator who's only watching what's going on without taking action, because every one of us has a role, has to do. Perhaps Allah Almighty will help change the situation once Muslims show their sincerity in their relationship towards Allah. The other issue regarding this matter, Ibn Athir is a Muslim historian, scholar, died hundreds of years ago. He's well known for his book, it's called Al-Kamil. He wrote the history of Islam during his era and so forth. I will share with you, and you will see how history repeats itself, and how Muslims have to understand from their history for what is happening to them forward. He said when the Mughals, you know the Mughals, Genghis Khan هذا, when they attacked the city of Bukhara, I think it's one of these ex-Russian, Tajikistan or some Turkmenistan anyway, where Imam Bukhari was from. With the leadership of Genghis Khan, the Mughals wanted to break into that city, but they were not. So Genghis Khan sent a message to the people of Bukhara. He said, whoever stands on our side, he will be saved from our killing. So the people of Bukhara split in two. The first group, they rejected, and they stood there to fight for the sake of Allah and to protect themselves and their family. The other group agreed on, okay, no, we will not fight you, provided you do not do anything to us. So Genghis Khan wrote to the group who are supporting him within Bukhara. He said, if you help us fight your own people who are standing against us, we will let you be the rulers of this area. We'll give you the governorship of Bukhara itself. And we will let you, you will have your sovereign, you will become the leaders of this, since you are with us. Now, as I'm saying this, think of what's happening today. Huh? So they told them that. Therefore, the two Muslims in Bukhara fought against each other. And the Mughal army was at the what do you call it, the borders of that area, waiting for the battle to finish. And those who won are the ones who were supported by Genghis Khan. So once they had the victory, they've opened the gates for the Mughals to go in. And the first thing what Genghis Khan that he did when he entered the city is that, okay, now we have to gather the weapons from the people in order to spread peace. We don't want any violence. Okay, hand over the weapon. Now we are in peace. Give us all your weapons. So he commanded his army to collect the weapons, and then he commanded his army to kill the people whom they supported him. And he said in a well-known statement, said, how can I trust people whom their own brothers They did not trust them. They turned their backs on their own brothers. So how can I trust them to be my allies? And he went ahead and killed them. Based on that, Muslims have to learn. History, as they say, repeat yourself. And nowadays, if you remember the proposal for the peace plan, one of the points says, hand over your weapons, and we will put some international, and I will mention to this you historically how this has repeated itself and what it led to. So here it says, to us Muslims, don't run behind the normalization between Muslims and the Jews, and to be under the vague word of peace and prosperity. Now it's a very lucrative offer they're giving them. Look, hand over your weapons, we will rebuild the area, we will make Gaza like the Riviera and we will make buildings, and you will have jobs, and you will have schools and hospitals. Give us your weapon and everything will be fine. So how could you believe these people whom, as they tell you this, at the same time behind their backs they have their knives sharpened to finish you off? And the minute you start signing the peace agreement with them, you will be the next victim to become, where they would slaughter you, and they will not stop that till they create their empire in the Muslim world, that is the Jewish empire throughout the Muslim world. And therefore, he says here, how can you trust people whom challenged Allah Almighty when Allah told them in Surah Al-Baqarah that they have to slaughter the cow? And you remember the argument in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah is telling them slaughter the cow. They started arguing with Allah Almighty. If they themselves, they start bargaining with Allah Almighty, how do you expect them to? And by the way, 1/3 of the Quran is warning you from these people. Now, as I'm telling you this, you will discover in the back of your mind how things are exposed. You see Muslim entities and leaders. If our Quran is saying this, where are we going then? How far are we away from the Quran? Are we really practicing our Islam, or what is going on? So he says that, or is it this, or are they the same people who used to kill the prophets? In the Quran, Allah has mentioned that they are killers of various prophets. They have assassinated. Every prophet went to them, they used to kill him, and then they go to their jobs in the market as if nothing has happened. How could you feel secure with people who they themselves have, the Prophet Zakaria put a saw on his head and saw him in half with the saw, and they cut his head and gave it to a lady? How could you trust people who they, at the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in Medina, the Aus and Khazraj, the two big tribes, years of battles they had among them, because the Jews were between them on both ends, pushing them towards fighting each other in order for them. But once they have these two tribes fighting, the Jews, they are safe because they don't have a single majority or power against them. So they keep everybody in their neighborhood busy with themselves, so at least they remain secure. And how could you be secure when the Quran told you ashad adawat? They are the most preeminent enemy against people are the Jews that Allah had told you about them. And Allah, how could you believe people that in the Quran Allah had told you that they cannot be trusted with any type of agreement, that you sign any agreement between you and them? The Quran, Allah who created them is telling you these people, they cannot be trusted. Therefore, fight with the hands of your brothers who are hiding. Otherwise, you will end up fighting for your life once these people, if they, may Allah forbid, if they win over, the Jews will come chasing you and me and to be killed. So now we have to support our brothers who are there. The third article, also lessons in history. It says here, between Cordova in Spain, Once it fell in the hands of the Spaniards or the Christians there, the Spaniards, between its failure in the hands of the Spanish and the failure of the city of Baghdad in Iraq in the hands of the Tatar Genghis Khan is only 20 years. And between the failure of Baghdad and the Tatar Genghis Khan invading Damascus was only 2 years. So once you have, in your history it shows you, once the enemy is able to break into you, there will be a domino effect. They will come to you and you and you and you and you. If I'm fighting him, I'm not getting the support. Once I fail, the door is open. They will come and reach each one of us and we'll fail together. He said here, Baghdad, before the invasion of Genghis Khan, was the capital of Islam for 5 centuries and was one of the biggest cities, Islamic cities in terms of size and population. And for 40 days, the Tatar of Genghis Khan people, they went over it, they burned it, they have killed in it 1 million Muslims were killed by Genghis Khan. And for the first time in history, Muslims had no Khalifa, just population with no Khalifa themselves. But the Tatar before them, as they moved to Baghdad, from where they are, they kept on invading various Muslim territories till they reached Baghdad. So one of them is big cities. They went, and if every city they invaded, they burned it into ashes and destroyed the entire city. After they burned up Afghanistan, the Genghis Khan army went to Naysabur. Naysabur, I think it's in Iran, huh? I think it's Naysabur or in one of these republics there, which is it says in the northeast of Iran, in the year 1221, where they have killed 1,750,000 Muslims in one day. It shows you the size of the army and the killing that took place. And between the years 1220 and to 1260, Iran has lost 9/10 of its people being killed by the hands of the Mongols. So the population fell from 2.5 million to 250,000 people because of that genocide that took place in killing them. And at that time, the Persians were Sunnah. There was no Shia at that time. They were on Madhab Imam Abi Hanifa. So Ibn al-Athir was writing history. As he saw how the situation has happened, he stopped writing. And he thought it's the end of the world. Day of judgment is coming. So why am I writing the history of who's going to read this? Khalas. It's all over, yani. And he expected that it will be the signs of the Day of Judgment. And writing history, no one will be there. Khalas, we will all die and we will be raised to Allah Almighty. And he said, in a statement himself, he said, it is not easy to write an obituary about Islam and Muslims. And I cannot even say this. Yani, may Allah, put the mercy. We have all finished. We have all died. Khalas, we're going to Allah Almighty. He said, I wish I was not alive to see that level of disrespect and disgrace and the killing that happened. I wish that I've died and I cannot see it. And if someone, he said about the Tatar, he said, if someone said in the world, since Allah created Adam till this day, I don't think anybody has been more vicious than these Genghis Khan, what they have done to the Muslims in their mass killing that took place. After that situation, notice the change. And that is something you have to keep in mind. The minute when the cycle of Islam reaches the bottom, this means the next step is what? It's towards the top. Yeah, it's moving. pivotal, okay? It will not shoot up, but it is starting moving in that direction. After that situation, by 2 years, the Mamalik Empire, they were vicious fighters, and they have won over the Tatar in the Battle of Ain Jalut by their leader, the king Al-Muzaffar Saifuddin Qutuz. That has changed the scale altogether. And what has happened, one of the Mughal leaders, his name is Baraka Khan, he's from the Mughals. He accepted Islam and he started fighting his own people with his army, the Mughals, for the sake of Islam. See what happened. Allah has made your enemy who was killing you to accept Islam and turn around and fight with you against the enemy. See how things change. And Muslims were able to take over Syria, Sham, and Halaqa, one of the leaders of the Mughals, died, and Zahir Babers attacked the Mughals and whoever was in support of them. What made historians amazed that how could they know it for sure? Usually the one who has the upper hand, now the Muslims were weak, the Tatars, they were strong. Usually the strong prevails over the weak. So you expect some of the Muslims to leave Islam to join this one. The Tatars were above the Muslims, and yet Allah made from them people who accepted Islam and joined the weak Muslims and fight with them to overpower that. So in many historians, they say, the way the Mughals, they entered into Islam is totally different than the norm they have seen in history, where usually the oppressor or the winner is the one who prevails in his religion or beliefs over the weak. It is the opposite. And yet they were able to fight against their own people. Also, reminds us Allah, أَوَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, don't they move around in the world to us, and they see what has happened to the people before you. They were more strong, more vicious and stronger than you. And Allah will never, nothing is weak towards Allah Almighty or standing against Allah Almighty in the heavens and the earth. Allah all knowledgeable, and Allah knows what is going on. So these big battles that happened in the history of Islam requires a lot of patience, a lot of dedication, sacrifice, support with your soul for the sake of Allah, with your money for the sake of Allah, especially that an enemy who is penetrating our lines. Because among Muslims we have hypocrites, and they are the number one enemy, because they look like us, they pray with us in the masjid, but they are against us and we cannot figure out who they are. That is why in that, and without any doubt, the people who hold the truth, they will be the winners by the will of Allah. وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. The last point, it sets the momentum and understanding. 5 minutes, inshallah, we'll finish. Here he had a dialogue in a meeting, and someone said, why is it we see that the truth is always behind? Why don't Allah makes the truth win the first round in the battle? We are Muslims, we have the right. We know we have the truth. How come when we fight a war, we don't win it from the first round? And the evil would be destroyed from the first round. He said, I said to him, Allah had created the universe not by the way we think before we want things to happen very quickly. The universe runs based on the wisdom of Allah, not on your mindset and your analysis. The wisdom of Allah knows the people whether they are prepared or not for the next stage to come. He said to him, ask yourself, this is the teacher saying, why didn't Allah Almighty send the Prophet Muhammad to people who would believe him on the first moment? Allah could have sent him to people, say La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, destroy all of the statues, we are Muslims, let's go. And how come this did not happen? Therefore, yet, see what happened to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was cast away, صح? يعني so he had to escape from Mecca or migrate from Mecca. He was under siege, you remember, where they prevented him and his family from food, water, from getting married and so forth. He was in hunger also, because what's happening to us, no food and nothing. And they fought him, right? Because Allah Almighty wants to teach you that the right does not win because it is strong. It wins because it is solid and it is patient for the long term for it to remain. Because if you win from the first instance, now you could win, but how can you support that winning for a long period of time? You need the solid foundation for it to stand what lies ahead. Nations do not get built overnight. Hearts of Muslims do not become pure in 1 hour. Evil does not disappear because we just hate him for the sake of hating them. It fails because it has the elements of failure in itself. When people, Allah Almighty, knows they are up to the standard to hold on the truth and protect it, Allah will give it to them. That is why things do not come easy like this. And that comes to them of holding the truth, and after long period of testing that takes place. What you see today in Gaza, okay, genocide, people, but it is laying the solid foundation of the change, or the pivotal point that will carry over in the future. A foundation is being built. Those who have died, we have no doubt they are in paradise up there. But those who are there, it is creating a very strong foundation to fight back and to turn around the world of Muslims. That is why he said, don't let, if the road, if the period is long, don't let that deceive you that the end is not going to happen. It could happen. And don't think if you don't see a result that things will never change. They will change. Because Allah said, وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. The winners are the ones who fear Allah Almighty. This is basically what I want to share. Let me give you some dates. This will take 1 minute from me. You don't mind? طيب. In history, now when somebody tells you Muslims have to give their weapons and surrender, and we showed you various situations. Here, how many? We have only 7 cases, and there are more. 7 cases in Islamic history, they've surrendered their weapons to their enemy and they were slaughtered. In year 1258, Baghdad, halaqa told the people, you are at peace, hand over your weapons, and he killed everybody. In the year 1260, in Aleppo, in Syria now, the people gave in to the Tatars by their promises, give us your weapons, we will restore life and so forth. They killed them afterwards. In the year 1492, Gharnata, Andalusia, in Spain, Muslims gave their weapons to the Catholic kings, and all their promises turned to be slaughter and massacre and making Muslim Christians and torturing them. In the year 1830, Algeria, the French went to the Algerian capital after people handed over their weapons to them, and then the colonization took place. Bloody colonization took 132 years. See how much you pay the price? Huh? Give us and we'll give you. We will tell it to Riviera and we will give you peace. Your children will go to school and you will have streets and you will live with harmony with your enemy. No weapons, and we'll put international and so on. So it cost them 132 years under the imperialism of France. In the year 1911, Libya, Trablus, the people of the coastal areas handed over their weapons to the Italians that they will be safe and secure. They double-crossed them, and the colonization took place that was filled with people being slaughtered. 1948, Palestine. Some of the villages handed over their weapons and promises that the Jewish gangs will not attack them. Deir Yassin took place, and manslaughter huge, and they kicked them, cast them away from their homes and villages. 1995, Bosnia, Srebrenica. They took this is under, mashallah, the United Nations. They took the weapons from the Muslims under the supervision of the United Nations. Okay? They were handed over to the Serbians, and it was the biggest massacre that took place. More than 8,000 people were slaughtered. So every single so-called peace agreement that took away, since your enemy has his upper hand over you, don't believe me, okay, hand over your weapon, then we will come at the same level. As long as they have the upper hand, you are not there at an advantage. These are the points I wanted to highlight to you today, just to give you a perspective of where things are. Now, as I said before, and I keep on repeating this, our duty towards Gaza is three things. One of them is dua. Do not neglect dua. It is doing wonders there. You don't know it, but it is doing wonders. It's driving the army, the Israeli army, crazy. And you've seen some of that. They see the Muslim soldiers without, with all the technology, they cannot control the battlefront. The second thing is that boycott. Yes, I know in Kuwait we've seen it. Some places people are going, and worst of all, it's in public. They're sitting in these places that their money is going to kill Muslims. The third thing is very important, to spread the awareness. Any news you get about Gaza, spread it around to Muslims around you. What's up in this social media? I know someone, you know what he does? Now, sometimes you get some of these videos who are out of Gaza direct, not through the general media. He takes these videos and he forwards them by email to various publications in various worlds. Like, for example, New York Times, Washington Post, Reuters, any of these news agencies or writers or humane societies, back and forth. He sends it over to them. What they do with it, he said, but I want them to see it. Now, to us, our role is to do. The results are on Allah Almighty. It's none of your or my business. But he not only sends to people around them, to these various organizations, he sends them to them, east, west, and everywhere, just to raise the awareness. This is the duty that we can do for the time being. So keep these in your mind, these three things. First of all, and of course, you donate. And I gave the brothers in the ICK, the charity organizations where are collecting for Gaza, food and water programs. And it should be in the ICK page, the link. And you pay by KNet. They are here, the organizations in Kuwait. Gaza for water and the other one for food. You make it a habit, on a weekly basis, a few dinars here and there. You can do so. Donation, a prayer, boycott, and spreading the awareness in the community and around you. This is what I found today, just to get out of the sequence of subjects, because we are in a heated situation. Yes, and you've seen how things are moving fast. They need our prayers. They don't need our money. They don't need anything from us. What I ask Allah Almighty in this blessed night of Friday is to put the Muslim world in the reality who they are, and make Muslim world all solid altogether, and to give the Muslim leaders the vision, the right vision towards holding on to Islam and to be, fearful of Allah Almighty, and to Muslim scholars to fear Allah Almighty and aware people, make people aware of, how dangerous the enemy is. Because if once the gate is open from their side, the enemy will be coming at knocking your gate. You will find yourself at face to face with the enemy itself. جزاكم الله خير وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزاكم الله.